Hey, church family. Hope you're doing well. I don't know, during this time, many of you probably felt a little bit trapped, kind of hemmed in, uh, uncertain, uh, maybe even fearful, uh, wondering what in the world is going to happen um, in this climate that we live in today, in the struggles that our world seems to be encountering. Um, Sometimes it's overwhelming. But when you're feeling overwhelmed, there's a story I want to remind you of. It was another person that was feeling pretty overwhelmed. But let me give you some background on the story, and the story is found in 2 Kings chapter 6. And the king of Aram is trying to attack the king of Israel. The king of Israel has a very good source of information, and that is Elisha. And every time the king of Aram goes to attack the king of Israel, Elisha warns the king of Israel. And the king of Aram's wondering, how in the world does somebody know the very words he speaks, even in his bedroom? But we know where the source of information is coming from. It's coming from God, and it's being filtered to Elisha, and Elisha is filtering it to the king of Israel. So he's always aware of what the king of Aram is doing. So the king of Aram finally figures out who's doing this, and he goes after Elisha. And he amasses his army and gathers it together and goes out. And many of us find ourselves in the same situation as Elisha's servant. Listen to what happens in verse 15 of 2 Kings 6. When the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. Have you been feeling that way? That you are boxed in and trapped? And our response is very similar to what the servant's was. Oh no, my Lord, what are we going to do? The servant asked Elisha that question. And I love Elisha's first response to him. He says, don't be afraid. But realizing that the servant is not really comprehending what's happening, he says to him, those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And I'm sure the servant had a puzzled look on his face. Like, what are you talking about, Elisha? And then Elisha prays, open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see. And the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked, and he saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Maybe that's what we need, is for someone to pray for us to be able to see. For when we truly see, we have no fear, because we know our God is with us. We know that more are with us than are with them. And so my prayer for you today is that we won't have the mindset of the blind servant, that we will have the mindset of the servant who knows and sees that God is with him, that there are more with us than are with them. And so my prayer for you is that you wouldn't be afraid, that you would entrust life and breath and all that is to the Lord, and to remember that God is our rock, he is our fortress, he is our stronghold, and he is our protection. So I hope that you'll take a moment and read this story, because there's more to the story than just this, but I wanted to kind of give you a little teaser. But I also want to pray that God will give us vision to see that he surrounds us. Have a blessed rest of your week.